I'll post the link to YouTube, and I will send that link out to you via Remind. So again, if you don't have access to the lectures, that's just supplementary. It's to help you kind of understand the material that you're reading in the textbook. If you do have access to the lectures, you'll probably get everything that you need from the lectures to answer those questions. You may not need the textbook, but you have the textbook if you don't have access to the lectures on YouTube. So I'll post the lectures. There'll probably be one every other day or so, however many modules there are. I think there's 4 or 5 modules in chapter 8. I'll do an intro video either later today or tomorrow, and I'll post that, and we'll go from there as far as chapter 8 is concerned. There are other materials that we'll use in chapter 8. We will use, there's one Teams thread that I want to create as like a chat. We can do it as a video chat. I'll have my camera access and microphone access on so you can hear and see me, but you don't have to use your camera access or microphone access. You can just type in the thread. That's a chat thread, but I have a morality game that I was going to do with you in class, so I'll pose the scenario and then you guys can just type in your responses, and we'll have kind of a digital discussion that way. And we'll do that probably Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, and just keep checking Teams, and I'll send a message out on Remind to let you know when that'll happen. So anybody and as many people from all of the courses can tune into that and contribute to it. It's kind of an interesting discussion about morality motivation that tends to spark pretty intense discussion usually. So we'll see how it goes in a digital format, but I think it's something that you will get a kick out of. There's a 40 Studies article that we won't do for a grade, but I'll post a PDF of the pages, and you can read the article. It's probably the most awkward academic explanation of human sexuality that's ever been documented. It's the most longitudinal and expansive human sexual study that's been done in a lab setting, and so it's kind of an interesting read. I don't know if that's the right word. It's definitely awkward to read, but it's very informational, and it's something that I think is probably one of the more intense 40 studies maybe that you would read all year. So I'll post that PDF later on in the week, and then next week we'll have some kind of an assessment. I may just release a digital version of the multiple choice test that we would have taken in class, and I'll release the answer key so you can take it as practice and see how you would have done. Now, using that as a segue to switch gears to the AP exam. The new format of the AP exam means that everyone is going to be taking the AP exam on their own device at home. And I know for some people, there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of stress about that, and you want to know, what does that look like, or how are they gonna police it, how are they gonna proctor it, what is this going to consist of? So I'll just tell you what I know. There's other things that have been speculated, but they haven't officially come out from the College Board. So things that we know is that in this new format that they're using, it's similar to ones that have been used for hospital homebound students or students who had other extenuating circumstances and they couldn't take the paper form of the exam. So you will have access to the prompts for the AP exam this year from home. There are 2 different dates for the AP exam. They have not been released yet. So you have the choice to take the early exam or to take the late exam. Now, from what College Board has already explained, there will be no multiple choice questions. There will only be free response questions, and that's across the board for every AP exam. So that's true in all of your classes. Now, if you have some stress about that, I know some of you do really well on multiple choice exams, and in fact, we've spent the entire year really practicing and prepping for taking a comprehensive multiple choice exam. So there definitely is a skill to that. And for those of you that are good test takers, it's an advantage for you to take a multiple choice exam because you're a good test taker. I'll tell you my thought on this. I mean, it is what it is. There was no way of knowing at the beginning of the year when we started the format of this course that we were going to have to switch gears in a matter of a couple of weeks right before the exam into a totally different format. So we find ourselves in this situation. That's just what it is. So we have to move forward. I'll tell you where my confidence lies. Since we've taken comprehensive multiple choice questions all year long, the advantage of being a good test taker is null and void, which is unfortunate. But the good news is that since it's no longer about the skill of taking a test well, it now becomes about the importance of content knowledge. And one of the advantages of all of our comprehensive exams is that you've seen the content in this course exhaustively. I don't want you to stress about the material that's going to be on the test. You're going to have a pretty good working knowledge of the vocab that they're going to use in these FRQs. And I know FRQs are harder, don't get me wrong, but keep in mind, everyone's in the same situation. So like I've said multiple times this year, it's you versus the field and versus the test. So the harder that those exam questions are, the worse that everyone's going to score, which means that curve is going to be a little bit more favorable. Now, a couple more pieces of information. College Board has assured us that university admissions boards will still take college credit for these AP exams because they understand the extenuating circumstances that everybody are under. So your AP score will still count. It will still be scored. Obviously, it's going to be on a much smaller scale. There's way less points. I have to assume there's only going to be 2 FRQ questions because the exam itself is only going to last for 45 minutes, which is very short. And I understand some fear with only a 45-minute test to represent everything that you learned for the whole school year. But I understand why College Board is doing this. By having a 45-minute test, it eliminates a lot of test security problems. So there's some things that have been suggested by people inside of College Board about how they're going to police this exam, but none of it's been made official. So on April 3rd, College Board will announce more details about the AP exam. So we'll know a lot more on April 3rd, but there are some things that are kind of being shared at this point that you will take it on whatever device that you want, either your phone, a laptop that has a camera, or you can even handwrite it and take pictures of it and submit it. But they will have to verify your identity, which they're going to do by looking at your image, which means that you're going to have some kind of device that has a camera. The other thing about this is in a short period of time, there's not enough time for the information to get out.